Hello everybody and welcome back to another breakdown video. As always, I hope you are doing well and having a good weekend. So today we have the Euro USD position to go over from the 23rd, so last Thursday. So let's get straight into it as always. So first things first, we've just had our session open. So of course we need to identify our structure points, right? So what we can see from this point here is we have quite clearly we have our major high at this point here, and then we have our major low at this point here. So straight away from this point onwards, what we know, pretty standard, is that if we want to trade a situation one, we need either or of that high or low to break to then create obviously our new in session structure to trade off. Okay, so from this point here, all we're really interested in on this open is going to be the minor structure, so our situation two. So what we'll do is we'll play candle by candle and see what happens. So at this point here, major structure, we've already identified that. Minor structure, let's identify that. So at this point we have our high. We know we have our high because we have our body break, and we have our low. We know we have our low because again we have our body break. Okay, so we have our two ranges in play already. So let's just continue to play. So at this point here, no we don't. At this point here, we go on to break that structure high. Now we're not interested in that. Why not? Because it's it's from the previous session, so we don't trade situation two if it's from previous session. We need it to be inside the new session. So let's continue to see what happens. Okay, we create a new high. We know we've created a new high because we have a body break, so let's mark out that. Now at this point here, we now would be interested if we broke that high, wouldn't we? Because that's printed inside the new session as situation two inside our major range. Okay, continue to play. Okay, so at this point here, we create our low for our new minor structure low. So we can mark that out and continue to play. Okay, we create the intent to the upside. So let's get rid of this. And now we know, what do we need? We need a mitigation. So where's that mitigation going to come from? It's going to come from the IM, which we're going to mark as here. Okay, move up to the next time frame to see if we have anything there. In this situation, there's no breaks of structure, there's no pullbacks, so we're not interested at this point. We're just going to continue to follow the 1 minute. Okay, so continue to play. Okay, so we get our successful retrace starting. However, we need to wait for that mitigation. Okay, continue to play. And at this point here, we don't get that mitigation and we get a successful retrace. So we know now that because this is our session IM and our session successful retrace with no mitigation, we're now no longer interested in that at this point. Okay, so what's going to be option number two? Okay, so what we can do is have a look at the minor structure on the 2 minute. Okay, we still don't have anything, there's no pullback. So now we've reached this high, what we can be aware of now is if we break this high, we're then going to create a situation one structure point, right? So let's continue to play. Okay, so now we've broken that high for a situation three break of structure. What we can now do is make ourselves aware of the low. So the low is going to be here for our major structure because we have obviously our body break at this point. And now all we need to do is wait for the high to form. Okay, our high has now formed. We know it has because we have the body break. So what we can do, we finally have our situation one structure. Okay, well, I say fine, it didn't take that long, it took 20 minutes. But okay, so there's the process between obviously your major and your minor structure. So now we need to do the same thing. So we're aware of our major structure. Now we need to be aware of where our minor is going to form. So let's just continue playing. And at this point here, we understand now we create that situation two range low because we have our body break. Okay, so now we need to wait for the high. Did that one break? Nope. Nope. And then we have our high at this point because we have our body break to the downside. Okay, so let's continue to mark that. Perfect. So we have our situation one and situation two range. Okay, continue to play. At that point, what do? We go and break our situation two low. So we know we have our intent. Okay, so now what do? We need to mark out our IM. Okay, so we have our whole up candle, as I call it, so the last candle that broke. Okay, so we can mark out that. Okay, I don't know why that's done that. There we go, and continue to play. Okay, so we know that started because we have a body break to the upside, so we can mark our low. We have some sort of mitigation happening, so we can continue to play. And then we get that successful retrace. Now, at this point, I'm going to delete my situation one lines because now I'm only interested in this, okay? Zoom in and start to understand what's happened. So we've had our intent, so let's write I, and we've had our successful retrace. Okay, so we've had the two rules, and we've had some sort of mitigation. Now that mitigation is between the open and the 50%. To be honest, it's nice and clear. You don't particularly need to do anything with that there. While the IM didn't have didn't have a imbalance on its own because our imbalance forms in the next candle. We are between the open and the 50%. It's nice and clear. We have momentum. We have imbalance left on the successful retrace. You can obviously have a look on the lower time frames, and I believe there was a. Let me just follow my structure so I don't get it wrong. Yeah, we reacted to a 15 seconds. So it made sense anyway. If it wasn't clear to you, make sense of it. If it is, then don't. It's as simple as that. It was between the open and the 50, and we have a lower time frame OB there, so it's all looking really good. So we can get rid of this for now because we only need our reaction point. Now we need to mark out our successful retrace. Okay, so where is our successful retrace from a basic standpoint? We have our up candle, the candle that broke the high, we have the high of that range and the low of that range. Okay, how can we refine that? We can refine that straight to the imbalance. Okay, so that from a basic standpoint is going to be your successful retrace OB. What do we need to do? We need to refine that. Why do we need to refine it? Because it's over the threshold. It's 2.7 pips, so down to 30-second. Have we got anything clearer here? Yes, we do. Okay, at this point here, I'm going to get rid of this line just because it's clearer. Tidy this up. Okay, so yes, we have it clearer. What's the size of that? Okay, that's going to be 1.6 pips. Now, in this morning, I remember I was quite tired. I wasn't really 100% with it, to be honest. So I didn't go any further than that. As soon as I saw that, it looked nice and clear to me. The 15-second was exactly the same in terms of what I mean. It's exactly the same. We can't refine it any further. I don't use wicks myself. It needs to be actual candles. What I could have done, but I just didn't check it simply because I was tired, is I could have had an even better refinement in this. Okay, so that would have made complete sense as well. Okay, so we had this low form here, we broke that to the downside, we then broke this high, we then have an up down candle, so we then broke, we create this high here which broke from here. Okay, so we know that this is an OB and it is called a major break of structure. So I could have done that, however I'm going to do it exactly how I did in real time, and I had the whole 30-second. Okay, so at this point it's pretty simple. We know how the setup is going to invalidate. It's going to invalidate if we have 4 breaks of structure. We're going to leave that third one. Alternatively, we get 2 rules back up to the POI, which is going to invalidate it. Other than that, we're just sitting and patiently waiting at this point. So let's do exactly that. Now, I think this confused some of you because at this point here, let's just continue to play. Essentially, what happened is we reacted off the whole IM itself. Now, what this means, I think some of you got confused and you deleted your alert. Obviously, I posted this at this point once we created this new low down here and said, okay, so we have this clear setup, however, it's reacted and released. Now, I wasn't expecting this to come back simply because of this momentum that followed that move. However, you need to understand, even though it's reacted off the whole POI, your POI is still fresh. Now, if this wicked in, okay, and then didn't give an entry, let's say, for example, the 5-second low was here, yeah, we get that intent and then we set our entry up here somewhere. If that then goes to then break that structure low, then because we've touched our POI and then followed through to the initial target, that is now no longer valid. But because we hadn't touched our POI and our POI is still entirely fresh, okay, based on the 30-second, this is still completely valid. Even though we have that break of structure and that target has been hit, we still haven't actually reacted from where we are expecting it to react to. So we can wait for that new structure to create itself. Make sure we don't invalidate by creating the 2 rules back up to it, and then again just be patient, make sure there's no fourth break, etc, etc. So let's continue to play. So at this point here it's exactly the same as the PDF. So essentially what we have is we have 3 breaks of structure and we're just going to use this high here as like a liquidity point, etc. So let's continue to play. We then create our new low. Okay, let's get rid of this for now, and then we're in this range. Okay, and then finally the alert goes off and we meet our POI. So we know what to do from here, nice and simple. Down to the 5-second, make ourselves aware of the range, check the next time frame, check the 15-second, make yourself aware of the range. So we know our 15-second range is lower than the 5-second. So for now, the only thing I'm interested in is this 5-second range here. Okay, continue. Okay, so what have we done here? We created a new high, which then goes to break, so we know we need to move our low. Okay, check the 15 seconds. 15 seconds is exactly where it was before. So even more than now, we're only interested in the 5-second because we know our 15-second is down here. Continue to play. Okay, so once again, what do? We create a new high. Oh, do we? No, we don't. Ignore me. I thought we did. Okay, and then we get that intent break of structure. We understand that we don't need to worry about the 15-second because our structure is all the way down here. Okay, so we've had exactly what we've needed to see now. So at this point here, I just want to mention this because I got quite a few messages about this. So in terms of your POI is only invalidated with a body break. Okay, a wick is absolutely fine. With wicks, we don't use wicks for the mitigation, okay, for the actual order flow creating itself on that base time frame. Okay, as long as you don't close above your POI, a wick is absolutely fine. And what I mean by close is obviously if you get a body close above it. It doesn't matter if it's 0.1 or if it's 5 pips. If you get a body close, it's invalidated. A wick is absolutely fine. Okay, so what do we do from here? I think it's quite self-explanatory. It's exactly the same as always. So first things first, make yourself aware of your range high. Your range high is there. Therefore, you know your OB can't be above that. Nothing above that matters. We have our buy candle. Same as usual, to be honest with you, I'm not too interested in doing this, for example, because for that difference, I'm more than happy to go off that buy candle itself. This one you could have used a smaller stop loss, to be honest. However, I maintain my minimum, which is 1 pip. So at this point here, the reason why I entered exactly there is it's just a last buy candle. It's as simple as that. And I didn't want to refine it any further to the next candle simply because it's for the sake of not getting ticked in for 0.1, I'd rather just leave it there. Okay, so continue to play. We now know that we leave that order there no matter what, unless we have 3 breaks of structure. So let's continue to play and see what happens. Okay, so at this point here, we are tagged in. So now what do we need to be aware of? We need to be aware of where our break-even point is. So where is that going to be? It's simply on the next major break of structure. We should all know this by now. Continue to play. Okay, and then what do we get? We get that next break of structure, so we go break even. Okay, don't worry about your partial point. Don't worry about your 1 to 10 while you're doing this. The only thing you should be worrying about at this point, or not worrying about, but making yourself aware of, is your next break even point. Okay, once you are break even, now what we can do is we can come back to the base time frame. Obviously, we know that our overall target is going to be the range low. In this scenario, that's over the 1 to 10 threshold for me. And as you know, that 1 to 10 is my initial target. So at this point here, I had an alert set above here. I was actually just chilling in the morning watching it, so I wasn't really worried about the alert, but keeping it at that 1 to 10 point. And then at this point here is where I close it. I think it was just above. I think it was like 47 I actually closed at. But I closed 9R and I left the rest to run. What the rest did is pretty self-explanatory. It hit that range low, it hit the overall target. We had a final movement to the downside, and then the remainder came to break even. So we had a maximum risk to reward there of 1 to 15. 9R secured for me at 1 to 10. Could have taken a bit more, but I like to keep it at 1 to 10 consistently. It just works for me. Annoyingly, I believe I actually retested that range and then continued to fall. Yeah, it did. It went on. So a little bit of a frustrating one there, to be fair, but not the end of the world. We secured our profits, and that's why we are strict with ourselves for those refinements, not refinements, trade management, taking partials. Because once you're taking that partial, it doesn't particularly matter what happens, does it? Especially if you're taking 50% or 9%, whatever it might be. The reason I'm taking 9R this year is simply just looking at data from last year and seeing how I would have been better off. Obviously, last year I took 5R at 1 to 10 and then held the rest. Going back over the data, I would have been up more last year if I closed 9R at 1 to 10 and then held the rest at that final 10%. So that's what I'm going to be doing this year. We'll see how it goes. I'll analyze how the data changes through the year, but from looking at everything from last year, it's just going to work out better. So I hope that was clear. I hope that was helpful. I think it's all pretty self-explanatory, to be fair. So we obviously marked out our major ranges, marked out our minor to come into the session so we could start to market. We had that initial intent and successful retrace. However, we didn't get that mitigation. We then go and break the session high, so we create a new major structure range. So okay, so at that point, what do? We create a new minor structure range. We had our IM, we had our mitigation, we had our successful retrace. We refined our POI. Our base POI was reacted to, and we had some sort of follow through. However, our POI was still fresh. We could have refined it further if we wanted to. It wouldn't have changed the outcome. Yep, so then we waited, we then marked our new range. We know that's our overall target. Our 1 to 10 was above that target, so we took partials at that point there. Price then hit the overall target, return to the POI for whatever reason, and then continue to fall. So as always, any questions, let me know and enjoy the rest of your weekend.